is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frantic Thoughts Podcast, a video game and entertainment podcast told from a very specific perspective. And whose perspective is that, you might ask? It is I, Frantic, also known as Josh, a little weirdo that has a lot of obsessions and loves video games and media and loves to share his love with you guys. And I'm talking about myself in the third person now, which is really weird, and I did not mean to go into that, but here we are. We're here. Adjust my mic just a hair here. Let's do that. Ooh, I think that's better. Ooh, here we are. Right here. Right on top of the mic. So, 2019 ended. I didn't post an episode. This is going to be my 2019 Game of the Year podcast. So usually each year, last few years, I've been doing a video. So personally, I love making the videos, but they're very time intensive, and it's just been one of those years that like a whole entire year I haven't been able to do like stuff that takes like super long. I usually try to put a few hours into the videos and like really go in and edit and record footage and all that. And last year I actually didn't do that. I used trailers, and I'm like, dude, do I want to actually do that again? No, let's just sit down and chat about some video games I liked last year. Last year I didn't have a ton of money either, so I didn't play every single huge game that came out and every single game that I actually wanted to play. So that's just like kind of like a preface before we jump into the list here. And I do have a list in front of me. Actually, I was at work today and I had a lunch break and I typed it all up, and now I'm hitting my mic stand. And I was like, you know what? As soon as I get home, I'm going to strip down to my underwear and undershirt. I'm going to crack open a beer and I'm going to do a podcast, and we're just going to go with it. So that's what we're here doing today. I'm in my undershirt and underwear, so you can paint that picture. You can't see me. It's not very attractive, but hey, it is what it is. I'm relaxed. So first thing I figured I would do is some rapid fire honorable mentions for the year. Some games that either I didn't play a lot of or didn't quite make my top 10, and I did actually make a ranked top 10 list. And when it comes for me making a ranked list, it could change at a moment's notice because I'm so I make my mind up very fast, but I'm so indecisive in the long run. I'll just keep changing my mind over and over again. But I made this list. I've read it a few times and I was happy with it. This is kind of where I'm at. But honestly, if I have this on my top 10, these are all highly recommended games. So before we jump into that specific list, let's go ahead and do my rapid fire honorable mentions for the 2019 video game. What is it? What do I usually call this? Frantic's favorite video games of 2019. Honorable mentions, rapid fire. Here we go. First off, we got Apex Legends that comes from Respawn Entertainment. It dropped out of nowhere. This crazy, awesome battle royale game that is kind of combined with the hero shooter, not unlike Team Fortress 2 or Overwatch. You have different teams that you can form together with different powers, different characters that have different powers that can work together and, you know, destroy all the other teams inside this map with a ring that closes and all of the battle royale flair. It's a lot of fun. It plays very good, which you come to expect from Respawn Entertainment. They made Call of Duty 4 originally, or at least the original creators, and then they came and they made Titanfall 1 and 2, and then they made Apex Legends, which is, you know, that same exact universe as Titanfall, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a really cool game. I've probably put, I don't even know, like maybe just 30 rounds into this game. So some people might be like, that's not that much, but you know, 5 hours, give or take, maybe 8 hours at the most. I didn't really time myself, but I had a lot of fun every time I jumped in there, and I still haven't gotten a win. I had a very harrowing moment where I was team number 2, and it was me and another guy. The third teammate had completely died. We couldn't respawn him because the respawn beacon was outside of the circle, and we happened to be against a team of 3, and it was me and the other guy, and we killed 2 of the other team that was left of the 3, because it's team of 3s, obviously, and we almost won. And it was like the closest I got, and it was like an adrenaline rush. Oh my god, you know. It's a really cool game, and I usually just play the robot, Pathfinder robot guy, and he does like a zip line. I usually play him. I just kind of like his moveset and his abilities. But yeah, that was Apex Legends, another one. It's not very rapid fire, is it? I guess not. Maybe it is. Another one is My Friend Pedro, which almost made my list. This one was very close to making my list, and it is a side-scrolling flippy dippy. It's a 2.5D action game where you're trying to get through these different scenarios in these stages, getting through these stages by killing these characters with really cool like acrobatic moves and kind of slow down time. It has a very like surreal feel to it. Has a lot of like little hints and nods and jokes in it, and it's just a really fun game. You have this sentient banana that basically tells you to do all this stuff, eggs you on, and do all these crazy things, and it was just a fun game. It's like 5 hours long, maybe 4 hours, something like that. Go in there, you can kick some ass, and it's just a blast. It's a really fun shooter, like side-scrolling shooter game, and it has a really cool motorcycle segment, which is also in one of my favorite games of the year. It's been a good year for motorcycle chase segments. Anyway, My Friend Pedro, highly recommended. It's on Game Pass currently as of this recording. So yeah, check it out if you haven't already. Another one I would recommend highly is, this one was like number 8 or 9 until I started realizing like, oh my god, there's so many, actually a decent amount of games I played this year. It is called Ape Out. Yes, I've talked about this game before, I'm sure, on the show, maybe like in the middle of the year last year. But you're this giant gorilla, and there's multiple stages. It kind of plays like Hotline Miami. It has like this very like interesting art style. It's kind of like a very simple color palette, very simple graphics, top down, of course, like Hotline Miami. And you're just this gorilla that has to get out, and you can kill the guys. You can grab them, grab them, and use the guns that they're holding to kill the other guy. And you have to get through a bunch of shit, and it's just wacky and crazy. Has a really interesting soundtrack. Like basically any move you make in the game, there's like these jazz drums that come in. They're like doom, 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 as you're running and stuff and killing people. It's freaking insane. Very visceral, very Hotline Miami-esque. And I hit my mic stand again. I apologize, man. This is I'm losing my podcast wheels. Like I need to put the training wheels back on, because I cannot. They say you remember how to ride a bicycle, but you don't remember how to podcast bicycle. Okay, that was bad. Anyway. Well, I don't know what I was saying there. Go play Ape Out if you haven't already. I know it was free on the Epic Game Store not too long ago, so hopefully some people picked that up when it was free. If not, it's very cheap, and it's a very fun little crazy, like, it's another short game. It's like 3 to 4 hours, and it's just a blast. And it gets pretty difficult because the stages will change each time you die. So if you die and you go back to the stage, it's not going to be the same exact layout. They actually have some random number generator, random level generator stuff going on, and there's some proc-gen, if you want to be a procedurally generated guy. Anyway, cool game. I really like the music. Like I said, it's like generated as you play, and it goes along with everything you do, and it's just a really cool game. Awesome style, one of the best styles of the year, honestly. And we have a game I didn't get too far into, but I want to play more of. That's why it's on my honorable mention. Is Concrete Genie. Basically, there's like this kid and this paintbrush, magical paintbrush, and you can paint these walls and make them beautiful, and it's kind of like this exploration game where you're trying to make the walls beautiful and take your old town that you have fond memories of and make gorgeous through the beauty of painting walls with like these like basically you paint the walls and there's like creatures that come out, and then there's like different things they can do for you in puzzles and stuff. I probably only played 3 or 4 hours of this one, and it's definitely one I want to go back to, but it didn't make my list because I feel like I can't make a huge judgment on it because I haven't finished it yet. But I wanted to mention it because I feel like it hasn't been mentioned too much this year. And yeah, Concrete Genie is a badass game. I like it so far. I'm definitely going to go back to it. It's definitely on my backlog to finish up this year. And last but not least for these supposed quickfire honorable mentions is Crash Team Racing Nitro Field, which honestly I thought would make my list this year. But like I said, I played a decent amount and some other stuff just edged it out. But it's one of the best kart racing games I have ever played. It has a different moveset than Mario Kart. It's not Mario Kart with a Crash skin. It's Mario Kart in a different light. There's different ways to control this. When you go around a corner, you have like a boost gauge, and you can wait till the boost gauge gets full, and then you hit like your skid and you get a little boost. And there's like a lot of really cool secrets, a lot of really fun character designs, really great level layouts. Like all the stages have like just it's beautiful too. They really reimagined this because, of course, it's a reimagining from the PlayStation 1. It's not really a remaster. They actually completely remade it from the ground up like they did with the Crash Insane Trilogy. They just took the racing game and did the same exact thing, and it's just beautiful. They added Spyro in there. They keep adding stuff to it throughout the year, and I've played this a lot with Sierra, just like a multiplayer. And honestly, she plays this game a lot more than me, so she kicks my ass because, you know, I'm kind of not up to snuff, and she plays it constantly, like enough to unlock all of the crazy battle pass stuff, you know, that they have now in the game, because they added like this whole like progression system per seasons, and then they have maps that are coming in, and it's just a really cool game. It's ever evolving, and I feel like if you're a fan of Mario Kart, you might not like this game because it actually is a little harder than Mario Kart, but I feel like it plays so well, and I think it's one of the best kart racers out there, and it's like stands toe to toe with like Mario Kart 8 in my view, and I think that it's worth your time, and it's a really fun multiplayer game to play with people, unless you play against Sierra, my fiance. She will kick your ass. She's amazing, and she's just too fucking good at this game, and I'm just like, okay, I can't play with you too many times because I very rarely win, and when I do, I feel like a badass. Like, I feel amazing because like she is so freaking good at this game, and I give her props for that because she's played it a lot. She's just like mastered it. So yeah, that's gonna be my honorable mentions for 2019. A bunch of games I highly recommend, but didn't quite make my top 10 ranked list, and I was surprised I was gonna do it ranked. At first I wasn't gonna rank these games, but now I'm here. I rank them. This is set in stone. This is set in history for my favorite games of 2019. We're going to start with number 10. My number 10 is Untitled Goose Game. So this game became kind of a meme. The character became kind of a meme throughout the year. The goose, the asshole goose simulator game. And that's pretty much what this game is. Like when all is said and done. You're a goose that has a checklist of mischievous and evil things that you have to do to the civilians of this small English town. And basically you go through and you're just a dick to people. Like there's this kid, he has glasses, you make him fall over, you grab his freaking glasses, and then you switch it out with other glasses, and then he's stuck with them. He has a toy plane, and you take the toy plane to the shop, and then he goes to the shop, he has to rebuy his toy back because you're such an asshole goose. You're just these simple, nice people You're going through, and if this game actually wasn't untitled, might as well just call it the asshole goose or the bastard goose, because this goose just likes to fuck with people, and that's what this game is. It's a chaos simulator, and of course, it's just silly. There's no loose state, I don't think, like really in the game. You just kind of have to keep trying stuff until you figure out like how to complete the checklist. And some of the checklist items, the reason it's number 10, it's not higher on my list, is I think that some of the checklist items are a little like a little bit of a stretch. Like you have to like put all these items in this basket, and if the people see the basket, the items are out of place, they'll go over there and grab the items, and it's kind of just, it gets a little frustrating and tedious to actually completely fill out the checklist every single time, in my personal opinion. But besides that, I do think that the charm and the humor and the art style and the music has like classic, like I don't know, like I guess 1920s piano or something, like some kind of like old school cartoon sounding piano in the background. It's just very charming. It's a lovable game, and it's a lot of fun to play. Just a little like gameplay things that kind of like nagged at me a little bit, that didn't quite make it get further along on my list, but I had to include it in my top 10 because I just thought it was so charming, and it's worth your time to check out if you haven't already. And that one is on Game Pass as of this recording as well. And if you have an Xbox, I would check it out. On Switch, it's like $15. Easily worth $15 if you have the means to play it. So next up we got number 9. Number 9 is Borderlands 3. This one I actually thought would be higher on my list as well this year, but I didn't absolutely fall in love with this title as much as I thought it would. Like, originally I thought, oh, I loved Borderlands 2. I couldn't get enough of it when I played it, you know. The first two Borderlands, I was just hooked, you know, into them. This one comes out, and it was more Borderlands, and that's not a bad thing. It's a fun, dumb shooter with silly humor, some irreverent humor. I almost said irrelevant. That wouldn't have made sense. Irreverent humor, and you know, just that zany attitude that Borderlands always had. Great gunplay, really interesting loot system, but this time it didn't really stick with me quite as much as the other two entries. But that's not a bad thing, because I still had a lot of fun with this game. It's a really fun game. Just go in, mindlessly shoot some bandits, you know, drive some crazy, you know, wheel. It's like a giant wheel motorcycle thing, blow up some dudes, you know, shoot a giant rocket launcher. And I had, the character I chose was Flak, and he has like a little, you know, companion creature. There's like four or five different ones you can pick from. There's like one that rains acid and stuff, so you can like shoot him out there. He'll like rain acid on people and bite the hell out of them. You come up with a shotgun and pump lead into the bad guy. It's a lot of fun when it comes to the gameplay. It's just a good mindless game. And the thing about the loot in this one is I feel like they changed loot in a way where the loot tables are really noticeable. So you'll be like playing the game, you pick up this very specific weapon, and you're like, okay, I've already had this weapon 3 or 4 times, a little different, but it feels so much like this other weapon I just used 3 hours ago. And that started to crop up the more I played. And I feel like when I played Borderlands 2, like every single weapon I picked up was like, oh my god, this one's so cool, this one does this one does that. But for some reason, when I was playing this one, maybe it's me becoming more familiar with loot games in general, but I was just looking at it and I was like, dude, I don't know, like it didn't have the variety I was looking for in a Borderlands as much as the other two in the series gave me back in the day. But honestly, it's been so long since I played those. Maybe if I went back and actually tried those out, I would feel the same way, you know. Maybe my tastes have changed a little bit. But I do sound pretty negative on this game, but it's just a fun game to play. The humor is a little cringy, a little corny, but I expect that from Borderlands. I mean, I don't expect anything more. I know some journalists were complaining about it, like, oh, it's so stupid, whatever. That's the point. The game is stupid. It's a dumb game. Like, it's not like high art. I don't think. It's just go in, hear some crazy, stupid jokes. You'll have a cheeseburger gun. You're blasting some robots. Why not? It's just fun in that particular way. And I think people wanted a little bit more depth when it came to the jokes. But I'm just here like, hey, it's juvenile, it's stupid, and it's fun as hell. So I had a blast playing Borderlands 3, and I definitely need to play some more of it. I think I'm only like 20 hours in, and it's a long game. Like, this game goes and goes, but it's still a good time, and I can't wait to play some more of it when I just feel like that dumb shooter action. And yeah, it's on my backlog this year, personally, to completely beat, but I felt comfortable putting it in the number 9 slot for 2019. So we're going to jump into number 8. That was a weird inflection on that. Number 8 is Kind Words. Some may say this is not a video game, but I will argue yes it is. And it's one of the most unique and interesting and, mind-changing games I've played this year from a multiplayer standpoint. This changed the way I think about multiplayer video games as a platform in general. So let me go ahead and describe this game. I think I recently described it on the podcast, but we'll go ahead and jump in and talk about it a little bit here. Kind Words is a very simple premise. You're a character in a room. You write notes to people about your life, whatever. You can share as much as you want. It's anonymous. And then that letter goes out into the interwebs, and then people can respond to it. And then you can go to your inbox and look at other letters people have sent out into the world and respond to it as well. And this game touched me so much. Like, it really made me think about things. Like, it's one of the best multiplayer games I've ever played. And it's not because I'm in this room and there's a million people in there. It's just a nice way to interact with people. And of course, like I said, it's anonymous, and it's just, there's so many great stories in there. So many people are just struggling with life. They're like I went in there recently, and there was a guy who said he got, just like the shittiest thing happened. He got fired on his birthday. And I was like, dude, that sucks, So he's like, man, I got fired on my birthday. I was going to go in and work, and I came in and I got fired on my birthday. I've been working at this place for 16 years, something like that. And blah, blah, blah. There's new management, and they let me go, and it was on my birthday. Everybody brought me a cake, and it was supposed to be a happy day, and I got fired. So I'm like, okay, I go in there and I type him a little message. I'm like, dude, keep your chin up. Everything's gonna get better, blah, blah, blah. And I send that out into the world, and he reads it, and then he sends me a sticker. And I know it's a little thing, but he sends me a sticker, and the sticker basically will give you new decorations for your little, like, cubicle house. Like, it's just like a little tiny room that you're in, writing letters and stuff. And the stickers give you more decorations, and you just kind of deck out your little room. And you're more nice to more people. They gave you more stickers. You decorate your room a little bit more. There's lo-fi music playing in the background. It's nice and chill. And the art style is just very simple and clean. And it's just a relaxing game for me. I am somebody who likes to talk about mental health and who likes to, put forward when I'm not feeling great, I'll reach out to people. And this is a really nice way for people to do that. And honestly, I went in there, you would expect it's an anonymous platform. People could have put out racial slurs. They can put out die motherfucker. They could do anything like that. They could do that if they want to, but they don't. Every single message I read in there is positive, or they have something to say or ask about movies. Like, one of them was like, what's your favorite movie? Just tell me about your favorite movie. Reach out to me. And then people will respond to you. And it's just a really nice and chill little experience. I know me saying that this is a video game, it's kind of a cop-out maybe a little bit. It's not very high on my list, but I do think it's a game. Like, it's just something completely different that I've never experienced before, and I think that me not talking about it now and including it on this list will do a disservice to it, because I think that it just kind of changed the way I looked at like multiplayer spaces in video games, which is a very interesting thing, and made me put myself out there a little bit more when it comes to that stuff, even though here on this show I'll ramble and talk about whatever. But, you know, it was nice to get on there, and it's a little cathartic thing, and just chill and relax, kind of cleared my mind a little bit, and I just loved it. It's worth your time to check it out. It's only on PC currently. I think it's only a few bucks, like $3 or $4. Go in there and just write some nice letters to some people. Why not? That wraps up that entry and my top 10 list here. We got number... Let me do the voice. Numbers? That's not really a voice. It's like, number 7. No, I still failed, but here we go. Number 7 is a little action game called Katana Zero. And this game blew me away when I played it. It is another Devolver Digital game similar to Ape Out. Ape Out was a Devolver game as well. I think my name is Pedro was as well. I do like Devolver Digital. They put out some really interesting and unique games. They publish them, of course. And this one is... So, let me try to describe this. This game's cool. It's a side-scroller as well. Really nice and unique pixel art. I really like the look of it. You're this retired army vet, basically, and he had experimental drug trials for this time manipulation drug. And it goes into like some crazy territory from like trippy mind stuff. It has a cool mechanic in it though that I think is pretty cool. So you're talking to different people, you visit your therapist, and there is a way to cancel out of any of the conversation trees that you talk to people with. So if you go up to somebody like, how are you today? You have like 3 choices, and there's like a little timer. You know, you have to pick a choice. It's like, I'm doing good, I'm doing shitty, and then don't, you know, end conversation. And you can end the conversation like that every single time. You can just end it right away. And so, minor spoiler for the game, but it's very early on. So there's this character in the lobby to this hotel, and you're like this ninja dude, and you're kind of wearing like this bathrobe looking outfit, and you have a sword. She's like, hey, what are you doing? Are you cosplaying? You can be like, no, I'm not cosplaying, you know, blah blah blah. Or you can be like, yes, I'm cosplaying this specific character, and you have like this whole conversation tree. Or you can literally just say no response and walk right by her. And then after you do the entire level, you have to come back out through the entrance, and the wait, you know, the, what is it? Receptionist. I couldn't think of the name of receptionist for some reason. It just escaped me. But she's sitting there, and then a cop comes in, and if you talked to her earlier in the stage, you told her that, hey, I'm a cosplayer, she'd be like, oh no, it's fine, he's a cosplayer. But if you don't say anything, she'd be like, I don't know, he was kind of weird and mysterious, he didn't want to talk to me, and then you have to fight the cops. So your conversation trees actually matter, and that's kind of an interesting thing. And I never seen a game where you can just stop talking. I guess different games have that, but I just thought it was a really cool way to do it, and it does have implications for the storyline. And so I didn't really talk about the main gameplay hook in this game. So like I said, he got experimented on with this time-traveling drug. So you have the ability to slow down time and like ricochet bullets back with your blade, because you have a blade. You have like a slash attack. You have... It's basically the main mechanic is the slow-mo mechanic. And it gets a little more crazy as you go through. I won't spoil all the cool powers you get. But this one also has that awesome motorcycle chase as well. Motorcycle Chases is a 2019 indie game thing. Maybe it's just a Devolver Digital thing. I don't know. But it's just a fast and frenetic like action game. So basically, It's kind of reminds me of Hotline Miami too, because you go into the room and then you have to make your way through these stages by using your various time powers and your sword, and each character has their own specific weakness. Each of the villains in there, different goons and stuff you have to fight, some robots and stuff, and if you die, it's like a one-hit kill, and then you have to start that stage over again. That's why it reminds me so much of Hotline Miami. So it's like, basically, what it'll show is like, okay, so this is him thinking this out in his mind and using his time travel to his advantage. So basically, if you die and die and die and die and die, he is doing all this, and then he'll come back to life. It's a weird mechanic. Basically, the storyline is connected to the gameplay in such a weird way. So basically, when he dies, he travels back before he died. So that's like an explanation for the reason why you keep coming back every time he dies. So basically you're respawning, and it has like a story and lore element to it, which is kind of interesting. And so after he kills everybody and he gets to the end of the stage, you'll see like a security camera footage of like what he actually does in the current timeline. Crazy, right? It's weird and wacky and just insane. And it goes into something like, he starts tripping out. There's like some flashbacks to the war and all this crazy shit goes on. And it's just like a really cool storyline. Very captivating, creepy, interesting, and just, it's one of those games that really have stuck with me like throughout the entire year. And I've went back and played a couple stages here and there because I just love the soundtrack. I love the feel of the gameplay. It plays so well. One of the best playing, one of the best looking 2D games of the year, and I highly, highly recommend it, and it has a great story too, so check it out. Katana Zero. That was my number 7. Next up, we have a game that I haven't finished yet, and I'm currently playing my number 6. 6. My number 6 is Jedi Fallen Order. And honestly, if I am 100% honest with you right now, this could easily be my game of the year. But I am not completely done with this game. So, I did not feel good enough to put it higher than this on my list. I was like, this has to make my list, but it cannot make my top half because I do not know how it resolves. I'm only like 10, maybe 12 hours into the game. I'm loving it so far. It's such... You're in Star Wars. You're a Jedi. I feel like a badass in this game. Like, I love the combat system. It's definitely a Souls-like combat system. I'm not the biggest Souls fan because I do not love the mechanic of dying and having to repeat sections over and over again. This game does have that on a lot more forgiving level. There are stages that have frustrated me where I'm like, damn, I have to go kill all these guys over and over again or whatever. And it's a little frustrating, but it's beautiful. It's one of the best looking games I've seen in a long time from an environmental storytelling aspect. Like, if you look and you go to each of these different worlds in this Star Wars universe, you feel like you're there. It has linear elements to it. Of course, you go through the stages in linear ways, but there are different areas where you can explore and unlock secrets and find different things and fight optional bosses and stuff. And that's really cool. I love the lighting. I love the gameplay. I love the characters. See, this is why it probably would rank a little bit higher on my list. It might be number 1, might be number 2 if I had completed it, but I haven't. But I had to include it on my list because I am just falling in love with this game more and more as I get further in and deeper into the story. And I think the main character, Cal, is awesome. I think BD1 is a great little droid companion. I like Seer. I like Greasy Money. Grease, or however you say his name. He's awesome. I just love the voice acting. It is buggy. People have talked about it. I'm sure you've heard it a million times. It has bugs in it. I have glitched through walls a couple times. I've got stuck in areas a couple times, and that is still pretty prevalent in the story and the game, but it doesn't hurt the overall feel of the game and the just the feeling of being a Star Wars Jedi, you really do feel like one. And I love it for that. And I can't wait to see how it wraps up. And I'm probably going to regret putting it this low on the list later on and once I beat the game. I know I'm going to regret it. And you'll see me on Twitter saying, hey, I wish I would have put that number 1, but that's okay. But I love this game to death. Of course, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. You guys know that. And yeah, some of the best Star Wars video game ever, like, in my opinion. There's a lot of great Star Wars games out there. KOTOR and stuff. I've never played KOTOR. I know that's excellent. But for me, this is one of my favorite Star Wars games, if not my favorite so far. So that's a high bar for me. And it's doing the same thing that Spider-Man did for me last year, where it's just like capturing me. Like, I cannot stop playing it. It's like it prevails, it like seeps into me. Like, I gotta go back and I gotta be in this world, and I just so locked in when I play, like, hours just melt away. So you know that game is just captivating me so much. So like I said, I'm probably gonna regret putting it at number 6, but my number 6 is Jedi Fallen Order, and I just love it. So from here forward, all these games are excellent and must plays, obviously, because I just sung the praises of this one to the skies and heavens. Anyway, we're going to go into my number 5 game of 2019. My number 5 this year, or last year now, my 2019 pick for number 5 game of the year is Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And then some people are like rolling their eyes right now, and other people are like, okay, yeah, I get it. So let me explain why this one is placed where it is and why I like it so much. Call of Duty is my guilty pleasure game. I know it's very similar every year. There is a lot of differences if you play every single title and you get into the multiplayer and you deep dive into the multiplayer. There is a ton of differences every single year, but there is a lot of recycled content as well, especially when it comes to maps, because they have put like original Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare maps into Call of Duty Modern Warfare right now. So it's just like, yeah. So that's the negatives. The loot boxes are not too crazy. There's no loot boxes in this game. They have a battle pass, and I appreciate that. But if you really want to get into this game, you got to get into this game to get through that battle pass and unlock the weapons. But I do love the fact that it's not random loot boxes, so that's a big plus for me. They started like 3 or 4 years ago doing these loot boxes that I spent, when I had Black Ops 3, I spent probably over $150 on loot boxes on that game. I was like addicted to it, and I wanted to get the good gun, and that was over the course of a year. So at least over $100. I'm maybe not quite $150, but it was a lot. And it really just soured me on the game after a while, because I would buy like a $10 box here and there, hopefully getting something good, and I would never get anything good because it's a random roll. And then this year they got rid of that, and they updated the engine. The engine has needed an update for years. They had used the same Call of Duty engine. They used engine and tech from Quake. Like, that's how far back it goes. So ever since Call of Duty 2, they used the same engine. Then they just added more onto it, more onto it, more onto it. And then now they revamped everything. The graphics look, I would say, like considerably better, like 10 times better than the other Call of Duty games. The lighting engine is just some of the best lighting you're ever going to see. The facial capture is fucking just ridiculous. The gunplay, the gun sound, everything about this game is just state of the art. Of course, they got billions of dollars to put into this game. You know, they're going to make billions of dollars on this game. Maybe not billions, but they're going to make some. They're going to make some cash. You know, so they put a lot of time and effort into this game. and it really shows. There's some really creative game modes too. Like they have the gunfight mode where you start 2 versus 2 on the side of the map, and there's 6 rounds and you got to survive. It's so fun. I've talked about that before. I love that mode. They recently added gun game. They have like, which is basically you get a kill and you switch to another gun until you get like the least powerful gun, aka a knife, and you have to kill and win, 20 rounds of that, which is fun. I love that mode. I'm pretty badass at it, if I should say so myself. It's just one of those games that's top of the line, and I love a really cool multiplayer game. I like digging. I literally just said dicking. I'm just gonna move forward. I love digging into the multiplayer. I love going in, dicking into the oh God, I'm dumb sometimes. It was a slip of the tongue. I love digging into it. I love trying new guns, new attachments. They have like this new attachment system where you can do up to like 6 or 7 attachments on each gun. Make it your own, a new camo on there. You can grind your camos up, like you get enough kills, enough headshots and stuff. You grind your camos up, get better camos on your weapons, and then you get your favorite weapon with your favorite attachment, and then your favorite perk that goes along with it that makes you run faster or makes you invisible to radar, and then you can pick a different kill streak, and then you pick a different field reward, and it's just really addicting, and I have a good time playing it. There is some issues with some of the maps. Some of the maps are very camper friendly, but if you start to learn the ins and outs of them, you kind of adapt to that. You kind of learn where to go and what area to avoid, or how to get around the camper areas, of the map. That's going to happen in a lot of games. This game does have some kind of wacky map design when it comes to like hiding spots, but I do love the multiplayer. I never beat the campaign, but I do love the cinematic storytelling. I've played in the campaign. I played probably 4 hours, maybe that's probably about half of it, and I really was engaged with the storyline, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna jump into the multiplayer, let's try this out, and I got hooked on that, and I just played way too much of it, and yeah, so Modern Warfare, guys. I'm a Call of Duty fan. I've been for years and years, and this one just hit me. Last few years, there have been a lot of issues with the series for me, and this one just like has that. It just perfectly aligned with how I would like a Call of Duty to be in the modern era. And what more can I ask from a series that apparently is like the highest selling game series in America, basically, besides like Rockstar Games, which is crazy. But yeah, I'm part of the problem, I guess, when it comes to that. Nah, I have fun with it. I know it's a dumb shooter, but like I said, I do like to dive into the tactics and just dive into a multiplayer setting and learn all the ins and outs of the little intricacies and stuff. And it's a very good game to pop on for like 20 minutes and play a couple matches and just pop off. It's very good for that. So, Modern Warfare, my number 5. We're getting to the hot and heavy part of the list here. We're going to go into my number 4. Okay. My number 4 game of 2019 was, and is, Kingdom Hearts 3. Yeah, this one's probably pretty obvious for most people, and most people might actually think this would be a little higher for me. There are some issues with this game when it comes down to it. The story is kind of back-ended. It's not front-ended. Like, it's not this. All the story is basically in the last like fourth of the game. There's not very much storyline going through it. There's like little hints at it here and there. So, leading up to this game, which I've talked about all of the Kingdom Hearts games because over the course of this podcast, I had played through the entire series and I was talking about them as I went through them. And I played every game. Didn't beat every single one of them, but I got the story, and I kind of like immersed myself into Kingdom Hearts. Really enjoyed like Dream Drop Distance. Like, I thought that game was fun as hell. I had a good time with 2. I think Kingdom Hearts 2 is probably the strongest Kingdom Hearts still. Jumping into this one, I had a high expectation. You know, I actually helped make like a lore podcast on the Cartridge Club feed, a Cartridge Club Extra, like all the lore from all the old games, and I had like this like high expectation for the story. Not the Disney stuff, the actual Kingdom Hearts story going forward. I wanted to see where everything went. And that was probably the most disappointing part of this game. They do wrap up a lot of stuff. There's a lot of really hype moments in this game. But it's just all at the back half of the game. Like, I wish it was kind of more interspersed throughout the series, this entire game. I know this all sounds negative so far. I'm just getting that part done and over with because there's a lot of positive stuff to this game. So that was my main issue, you know, like, I wanted to see where all of these people that I've come to know and love end up. Like, I love all these characters. They're all very... I mean, I'm not going to say Kingdom Hearts has, like, the most deep characterization or the most deep characters ever. But I've come to just have this huge fondness and, you know, attachment to these characters. I really care about what their storyline and what the through line is going to be. It's very convoluted. It's very all over the place. The acting is not great. You know, the voice acting, it's not amazing, but it has its own special type of charm that I just kind of just fell in love with, and I love the series to death. This game didn't ruin that. I still have a good time with Kingdom Hearts, and this game plays really well. I think it's the best playing Kingdom Hearts game. I think it's the best looking Kingdom Hearts game. It has the best, you know, combination of attacks. I feel like it might have been a little easy, but I didn't play it on a hard mode. I'm sure if I played it on a harder mode, it would have been harder. I feel like I could have just like slapped my way through it. I felt like I leveled up so easily and fast that it was really easy at the end in the boss battles. You know, I actually didn't have any trouble. There are some of the games in the series that I was struggling, like Dream Drop Distance is a good example. Like, I had to fight that last boss battle like 10 times before I beat him, you know? And Kingdom Hearts 2, you fight... Who do you fight? Roxas? You fight Roxas, and in like this, like, you know, inside your heart, I guess. And I died a lot there doing that. I'd probably die like 30, 40 times trying to fight him in that Kingdom Hearts 2.5. And yeah, I just thought this game was cool. Like, I love the art style. I love going to Pixar worlds. I feel like that those are some of the best stages in Kingdom Hearts history. Like, we got Monsters Inc. It was so unique and creative, and just, you know, it was a fun stage to be in that world. And you got Toy Story, dude. Going to Toy Story and just seeing it, I was playing a Pixar movie. I was in a Pixar movie, and it looked just like, you know, Toy Story, maybe not Toy Story 4 or 3. It looked like Toy Story 2. It looked like I was in Toy Story 2 world, like, graphically. And because it's not quite that perfectly detailed yet, but it was so beautiful. And they do like a lot of cool tricks with the lighting and stuff. And I felt like, you know, I'm fighting in Andy's room. I'm fighting on the lawn of Andy's house. And then I'm on this like really crazy cool toy store fighting all these crazy robots, attacking stuff with robots. And it's just so fun. And then Big Hero 6 was like this giant city that you had to fight in. I think that stage might have been the weakest of all of them, but I did love the setting of it. Then you get to play through the entire story of Tangled, and you get to play through all of Frozen, which is kind of like, because you literally have to sit through Let It Go. It's Let It Go, and then they have like it's Let It Go, and then they have Sora, Donald, and Goofy on the side going, huh? Ooh. Watching her sing Let It Go, and it's just ridiculous. It has comedy and stuff when it comes to that. Yeah, it's a good game, guys. I just had so much fun with it. I think the Pirates of the Caribbean level, like, if they made a whole entire game over that part, I would have a blast with it. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I thought it was fun as hell. I had so much fun bringing that ship around and fighting guys with the ship and stuff. I thought it was so fun to level up the ship, and just, it was so unique. The art style was like realistic. They like made Donald and Goofy and Sora kind of have like a realistic like look to them. It had like a really awesome and interesting art style, and it was like, it felt like you were in a different world. And I just love Kingdom Hearts because of that. It's just, there's some ridiculous things going on. The story doesn't make sense all the time. You kind of figure it out after a while, and there's lovable characters. You go to places that you love from Disney movies you love, and this continued that legacy, and I just had a good time with it. I'm really looking forward to the DLC, and yeah, I just liked it a lot. So it's my number 4 of the year, Kingdom Hearts motherfucking 3. We're gonna go into my top 3 of the year. So of course I love these games to death. I can't stop thinking about them. I can't stop thinking about them. Number 3 is the next one in my list. So we're going to jump into there, which is... Well, I need to stop talking. I need to, like, take a breath. This is my number 3. My number 3 might be a little bit surprising or weird to some people. Unless you follow me on Twitter, you know I really like this game. This game took me by surprise. It's so weird, so random. It's called What the Golf. Okay, let that sit for a minute. It's a golf game. And my number 3 of the year. I can't believe it. You can't believe it. Nobody can believe it. This is What the Golf. What the Golf is a golf game, but it is a dad joke at the same time. A good example is you start the game off one of the very first stages, so it's a very minor spoiler for a really silly physics game, basically. You got to get a hole in one. You control a golf ball, and you got to get a hole in one. And literally, there's a 1 on the ground, the number 1 on the ground, and you have to hit the golf ball into the number 1 hole. Ha, get it? It's a 1, that's a hole. Yeah. It's that. This game is that. There's a bunch of puns. There's a bunch of video game references that I will not spoil. They're fun to discover for yourself. You know what? Very minor spoiler. If you want to skip ahead, like 30 seconds, go ahead. But there is a super hot level where you have to do super hot stuff, but you're playing golf. And if you move the golf ball, time moves, and it's that art style. And they basically put super hot into this golf game. And if you listen to that, and that sounds awesome to you, that's this game in a nutshell. And it's freaking fun, funny. Like, I was laughing the entire time. Welcome back if you skipped the spoilers, by the way. Funny, wacky, silly, zany, loop-de-doop-de. That's not a word, is it? But I just had so much fun with it. I literally couldn't put it down when I started playing it. I played it on PC, put it on Epic Game Store, but it's on Apple Arcade, I think, on phones. And I don't have an Apple device, so I played it on PC. But I saw this game. I was like, man, this looks right up my alley. I like the silliness of it. And it was just a bucket full of fun. Like, I just had so much fun playing this. I think it's coming to Switch as well. Yes. So yeah, it's a golf game. I'm not a golf game fan. I don't really like golf games. Like, they're boring, right? But they take this, like, simple style, like the simple idea of, hey, you're trying to get the ball in a hole, you know. And then, like, one of the early stages, you're a golfer right there, right? You think you're gonna hit the golf ball with the golf club, and then when you swing back and you do your little, like, mechanic to swing the golf ball, you swing the golfer, and you have to get the golfer in the hole. I'm not kidding. Or at least hit the flagpole. And it's like there's a couch there sitting there, and your golf ball's on the couch, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna hit the golf ball off the couch and then get it in the hole. You're the couch. They do stuff like that. Each level is a kind of a joke, and then the joke, you're like, haha, that's funny. Okay, let's figure out this joke too and actually beat the stage. And it has a really fun boss fight at the end, and each level has multiple. So basically, there's like an overworld that has different stages you can go into. And you can just beat the stage. But if you go back into the golf hole, and I hit my mic stand. It's been almost an hour, and I haven't hit it until right now. And go in the golf hole again after you beat the stage. And there are alternate versions of that stage you can do. And if you complete all this, you get higher percentage, and you unlock more parts of the map. And it's just a ton of fun. And like I said, I did everything. I got 100% on this game. If it was on PlayStation, I would have got a platinum trophy. I wish. It doesn't matter that much to me because I got 100%. That's how much I love it. If I don't usually play games to 100% completion unless I liked it that much. It's just fun and silly and just brightened my day every single time I played it. And I spent a long time in this game. I spent like 16, 17 hours, something like that. Some crazy amount of time doing all those extra stages. And I loved every single minute of it. There were frustrating parts where I couldn't get past stages, but when I finally figured that stage out, it was so rewarding. And it does have some, skill involved. And I just loved it. It's so fun and funny. And I highly recommend What the Golf if you haven't tried it out yet. That was my number 3 for 2019. We're wrapping this up almost. We're on number 2, which might be surprising as well. My number 2 game of 2019 is a short hike. What's a short hike, you might be asking yourself. This game is a little hard to nail down exactly how to describe it because it's this very simple premise, but trying to tell you guys how I feel about it and why it means so much to me and why I like it so much is going to be a little bit of a challenge. But let's go ahead and we'll talk about this game. So basically, you're a girl, a bird. You're a bird. That's the characters are all animals. It kind of has an Animal Crossing vibe to it. It's kind of like a tilt shift top down game, and it kind of has this 32-bit, 64-bit filter on it. So it has kind of like this Nintendo 64 look and vibe to it, which I really appreciate. It has a cool look, very nice and pretty colors. So basically, you're a girl and you have a phone call that you need to take, and you have no reception in this town at the base of this mountain in this wilderness. And basically, the main goal is to get to the top of this mountain. And how do you do this? You earn power-ups by finding these golden feathers around the map, and you get little extra flutters, basically, that you can do with the bird. With yourself, the main character. And basically the main part of the game is kind of just going around town and talking to people. There's a lot of people to talk to. They all have different things they want. Some don't. Some people just have stories, and you collect stuff around the map. You help people out with their lives. You race people. I lost my watch in the woods, and then you help them find the watch. And then there's lots of little things you can do. There's a fisherman. You can go fishing. And it's kind of just this very serene and relaxing game that just kind of put me at ease, and it's just very peaceful to play. And it's just really rewarding from that aspect. You kind of just go through the game, you just help people out and have conversations with people, and then slowly but surely build up your boost meter to where you can get to the top of that mountain. And it's very moving too when you get up there, and I think this game is worth anybody's time. If you have 3 or 4 hours to play this game, that's all it's going to take you. It's a very short experience, but every single second I played it, I just had such a good time. It just relaxed me. It just put me put me in such a good headspace, and it's very rare that I get a game that does that for me. It kind of gives me that zen feeling, such a good feeling inside, that warmth. It feels very warm, and I just think that it's so high on my list because for me, it's been unforgettable. I cannot stop thinking about this game, and then just how happy it made me, all the different characters in the game. And man, I might be overhyping it for some people, but to me, this game just is going to be up there on some of my all-time favorite lists because of the way it made me feel as I played it. So, this little tiny indie game, I highly recommend you check it out. It's just delightful. It's beautiful to look at, and it's just so relaxing, and will take your mind off the horribleness of the world, it just makes you feel good, which is something that you don't really experience too often in games. A lot of times in games you go in, you're like, oh, I'm just going to shoot a bunch of guys, In this one, it's all about the chill vibes, man. I killed my point there by saying that, but you know what I'm saying. I highly recommend checking out this game. It's like $6, $7, something like that on Steam. And I think it's eventually going to come to consoles. It'll run on a toaster. It's a very low impact game, so any PC should be able to run it, or Mac or whatever. Check it out. It's called A Short Hike, and that's my number 2 game of the year. So we're going to come down to my number 1 game of the year. This one is been left out on the list. If you know me, you probably already know what it is. But let's go ahead and jump into what I would consider my favorite game, the best game that I played personally that suits me, that I like the most in 2019, which is my number 1 game. And if you're wondering, drum roll. That's a really bad drum roll. My number 1 game of the year is very obvious if you know me. It is a game that I was so excited for and played so much when it came out. It's a game that is a sequel to another game that I really liked from a few years ago. Go. There's an echo for some reason now. And my favorite game of the year is Super Mario Maker 2. That's so obvious, probably to a lot of you guys out there. I am a humongous Mario fan. My favorite game of 2017 was Super Mario Odyssey. I grew up on Mario. I love platforming games. Super Mario Maker 1 was my favorite game of 2015. So come on, guys. 5 years later, or 4 years later, 4.5 years later, I'm sitting here telling you that my favorite game of 2019 is Super Mario Maker 2, and that's so obvious, right, for anybody that knows me. But it isn't just a rehash of Super Mario Maker 1, which a lot of people would, from the outside looking in, would say that. For one, the creation tools are a little harder to use in some aspects because Super Mario Maker 1 was kind of made for the Wii U, if you think about it, because you got the pad there. You can do the touchscreen on it and build your stages like that and play them on the TV that's right in front of you. Here, you have to undock the Switch, bring it to you, use your finger on the screen, unless you have one of those styluses, which I never used. And it's a little more complicated, a little less intuitive as the Wii U version is when it comes to the building. But once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. It actually works out really well. They do have cursor aiming, like you can build with like your thumbstick and your A button if you want to. But I choose to use the touchscreen. I just had so much fun making stages in this, and they added a lot of really cool elements to it. They added new settings, new styles. They had a 3D world style, which is really cool. I really appreciated that. They had a lot of really cool uses and stuff, and it was kind of a new tile set too. It had some stuff that wasn't in the other styles and didn't include some other stuff that was in the other styles. It was kind of its own thing in the game, which was really cool to experiment with and see what other people would build with it. A big highlight for this game is the little story mode they had, which had over 125 stages, I think, something like that. At least over 100 stages by Nintendo. And there were basically there's an entire Mario game in there if you play through those. They're all Nintendo-made stages. They're all expertly crafted. Great experience. Like, that's at least 6-7 hours, maybe 8 hours of your time, depending how good you are, going through and playing all those stages. And they're just all really unique and creative, and it felt like I was playing a sequel to a Mario game, like a brand new 2D Mario game, because it was a Nintendo curated experience. So right there alone is worth experiencing for your the price of your money. And then you can go into the community and see what the community is making, which of course everybody knows Mario Maker has a lot of trolly and shitty levels. That is 100% true. I do agree with that sentiment, but for me, the joy of going in and seeing what other people make and then making similar things or tweaking someone's idea or taking an idea from Nintendo and incorporating it to my own level, making little puzzle boxes and stuff for people to figure out. That stuff just tweaks something in my mind that just I can't explain. Like it just makes me feel like a genius a little bit, you know, like, oh man, this is so fun to figure out. And when you find that stage that has like this really cool concept, because everybody knows Mario, right? You're sitting there, everybody knows how Mario works. Mario jumps on the Goomba's head, the Goomba's gonna die. You jump on the Koopa head, you're gonna get a turtle shell. If you have a fire flower and you shoot it at a bad guy, they're gonna die. If you have a cape, you can do the little swoopy cape thing. If you spin on top of a thwomp, you can get on top of a thwomp. You know what I mean? You know how Mario looks and acts to the environment and to the items in the world. You know how Mario works. So when somebody takes these different mechanics and makes like this interesting, like crazy puzzle box where you got to throw a turtle shell and run down the hallway and jump on a spring at a specific time and then hit this note block at a specific time and hit a P switch at this specific time and do this like cool little puzzle, or hey, this one looks like this crazy like, city in the clouds, and you have to do this really specific thing to get like this little key to open this door, and people just come up with some of the most elaborate and crazy and interesting and unique things with the tool set of Mario. And that's what made the first game great, and that's what makes this game great. And I think the availability of it on Switch just increases the number of stages and the number of those moments of brilliance where you see something that you've never seen before, or you see something that you've seen before in a new light because somebody decided to spin it on its head and create something just entirely new with this tool set and these mechanics that you know and we all know and love for 30 plus years. It's just one of those games that just brings out the creativity in me and everybody around it, and I think it's worth playing, and that's why it's my number one game of the year. One of my favorite games on the Switch. I think I like it better than Breath of the Wild. I know some people would hate me for saying that. I love Breath of the Wild, but this game just tweaks that part of my brain that no other game really does. So, Super Mario Maker is my game of the year for 2019. So, thank you guys for listening to my entire list of my favorite games of the year, but this episode isn't over yet. No, it isn't. We're going to do one last section. We're going to talk about some old-ass games that I played in 2019 that I highly recommend, that stick out in my brain, and we're just going to do a couple. I have a few listed here, but I'm probably not going to do all these because I talked about them before. But the couple that I really do want to talk about, and I kind of want to just like shout out, is Quick Save Club, because it has gotten me out of my comfort zone in video games this year or last year, or including this year right now. And there is one example I can say that is one of my favorite games of all time now, at least in the top 20, 25 of my favorite games, maybe. It'd be up there if I had to rank every game I ever played, which is an impossible task to ask for me specifically, because I can never make my mind up, because this game of the year list here would probably change if I made it tomorrow, because that's just how my brain goes. But it is what it is. So this game would be a game I would avoid like the plague, but it was a Quick Save Club game of the month a few months ago, and I really loved it. It's Planescape Torment. It has some of the coolest storytelling. Did not expect to like a turn-based like RPG D&D thing. I never thought I would like that type of game ever in my entire life, but the storyline and the writing and the characters and the exploration and just discovering this world and figuring there's just so many layers to this game, and I just love how it's written, and I just enjoyed my experience so much. It's just one of the most rich worlds I've ever been in a video game, and one of the most rich stories, and one of the best like written stories I've ever had in a game. Like, when it comes down to the characters talking and all the different things you can discover in the world. I just thought it was excellent game. It's one of the best games I've ever played, hands down, especially when it comes to the storytelling. And so I just really appreciated it. And I think Quick Save Club for like getting me into that game. So it's that one for sure. Got me out of my comfort zone. A little more in my comfort zone, but one I never played is Half-Life. I wanted to shout that out as well. I really loved playing Half-Life 1 for the first time because I loved the sequel, but I never played the original. And I finally did. And that game was pretty cool. Cool shooter. I know that's not very I'm not explaining it well. My throat's kind of like messing up, I guess, or something. Half-Life. I do really enjoy it. I thought the gameplay was really well done. I enjoyed the setting, the storytelling, and it's just one of the best shooters I've ever played. So, I mean, no big deal, right? Let's see. What else did I have written down here? Monkey Island, which would be the last one I wanted to shout out, which I did the episode with them, and the Q-Dogs were on that one. Really cool. Made me really appreciate that style of point-and-click game. There are spots in it where I got stuck, but it actually is not so complicated or hard to figure out that it like was a detriment to my experience. I did enjoy the game quite a bit. Very funny, great graphics. Either version, the original graphics or the new graphics, really good. I like the voice acting in the new version of it. But the story was funny, silly, great puns, great characters, just all around good time. And that was just a fun episode to do as well because we like went way into the story and just had fun joking around about it and having a good conversation. So that podcast in general just really was a highlight for last year, and it continues to be a highlight and gets me out of me just playing, oh, this big new game that I know I'm going to like. I'm going to play that. No, let's go back and play something different. Something I probably would like, but I never would have tried it if I wouldn't have had this podcast to go forward with. And last but not least, we are going to talk about Astrobot Rescue Mission for the VR. Really fun. Awesome. It's one of the best platformers I've ever played besides like a Mario game. If it was a Mario game, I would not be surprised if like Astrobot took his hood off and he was a Mario under there. I'd be like, all right, cool. Really cool use of the VR tech. Really nice use of distance and character, like walking around an environment where you can look around and stuff. It's really interesting and unique when it comes to that. Really cool puzzle mechanics, and it's just a fun platformer. Didn't quite beat this one. I feel like I'm like near the end. I've noticed that it's very hard for me to be in VR for more than 2 hours, or I start getting a headache. So I think I was getting close to the end, and I'm like, I want to beat this, but and then I took a break from it. I never went back. So that one and Beat Saber on my PSVR, like I put a lot of time into Beat Saber. That game is amazing. I love Beat Saber. So yeah, I'm rambling now and just talking about games I like that are older. So I guess maybe we'll wrap up. I also played a lot of Minecraft. I played 50, 60 hours of Minecraft this year, especially in September. I played Metal Gear Solid 3 again for the Cartridge Club podcast. Love that game. Burnout Revenge. I kept popping back in there. But yeah, man. 2019 was a good year. When it came to games, I did feel like I missed out a lot on some of the bigger titles. But it is what it is. So yeah, guys, I hope you guys appreciated and enjoyed this long episode of the Frantic Thoughts podcast. There will be some more coming up soon. I do have some plans for some episodes. So hopefully we'll be able to sit down in the next couple days and, or not next couple days, next week or so, and bust out some more episodes for y'all. Because I do enjoy this show, and I felt like I was missing something if I did not do some type of video game wrap-up show. I know this is late, but if you made it this far, I appreciate you. Come on Twitter, talk to me, go to cartridgeclub.org/forum. Click on the Frantic Thoughts episode number 98, I think. Is it 98? I'm gonna look. I'm looking. 99. This is episode 99. So the next one's episode 100. Holy crap. 100 episodes, which I probably, if I did the math, I was supposed to, if I would have done weekly, I would have hit episode 100 in like June of last year. So that's how far behind I got. It is what it is, but we're on episode 99. That's awesome. So go over to the Cartridge Club forums, click on that, talk to me over there. I'm on Twitter. I'm always on Twitter. I have a phone on me all the time because I have a very tiring job where I need distractions. So if you want to come and talk to me about some of these games, or hey, what game was this, or what were you talking about here? I'm there. Let's talk about it. I think 2019 was a cool year. I have a big backlog of games from that year still to go through, and I look forward to 2020 because this year's gonna be crazy with new consoles and all that. And we'll talk more about that in a future episode. So thank you for listening. Do I have anything else to say? I think that's about it, because I do want to do a catch-up episode where I talk a little bit about my life, but I don't feel like it pertains to this topic too well, and we already been going for a while. So I'm wrapping up here. Thank you for listening. I love you a lot, and I'll catch you on episode 100. Peace.